You ready to summon a brave face?
Wait, are we starting?
Yes, we are live now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to office hours number 25, where we're experiencing absolute carnage here at Nansen HQ. Well, not at Nansen, but the two fellows on the screen here, just watching liquidations roll in. Alex, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not too bad. Could be worse.
Put on a brave face, and yeah, it's pretty.
No,
it's pretty crazy to see this.
It's rough in the markets. Singapore is likely to announce another lockdown. I think maybe they're announcing it right now in another live stream. And then of course we're seeing like ETH go below 2,000 on Kraken at least. And I think my camera just died. That's amazing. I might have to actually change my camera here. It's one of those days.
Just one of those days. Yeah, I've got the price charts on FTX up here, just watching it.
Maybe you can share your screen.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's frozen.
Or maybe it's gonna show your balance is getting wrecked. I might have to actually change my settings here. I might have to leave and come back. So give me 20 seconds.
I think if you just click the cam and mic, the little cog.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's swap to the low res version. Wow, that's really low res, isn't it? Okay, we're back. Well, let's charge the camera here in the meantime.
We're back. Low res, low alpha. It's like total shit.
It's a total shit show today. Yeah, so I'm watching ETH price below 2,200 now. I mean, it's gone down more than $1,000 in a day, which probably has never happened before, right? With Ether. So Bitcoin at 35,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's rough. It's a shame because like there's actually a bit of content we could go through and we should go through in this office hours. So we might have to try to avoid getting distracted by the macro movements and just try to focus on the tokens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully no one watching has gotten, seriously hurt from this. It's a pretty disastrous move. So hopefully you did not get completely wrecked by this. It's important to, of course, manage your positions. A bit late to say that now, I suppose, but hopefully no one got overextended with leverage or anything like that. I think what we're seeing is like cascading liquidations still. And it is, although DeFi is amazing, it also means there's tons of leverage that needs to unwind. There was also this situation with BlockFi that was circulating on social media where they accidentally paid out tons of Bitcoins, which caused, I think, a bit of fear and some people, withdrawing their crypto, or at least starting the process to withdraw. Mm-hmm. And so I think over at BlockFi, it's probably quite a lot worse than it is, at our headquarters, let's say, dealing with these liquidations and also the shit show that's going on with these Bitcoins that they accidentally handed out to a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, beyond our personal bags, it's I think we're chilling pretty hard at Nansen. But yeah, okay, let's dive into some stuff. So first of all, I'll share a link here in the chat on the right-hand side to anyone who is new to Nansen office hours. This is a weekly show where Alex and I shoot the shit, usually with higher resolution cameras, but this week, as mentioned, we're having some technical difficulties across the board. If you have any questions throughout the conversation, feel free to put them in the chat on the right-hand side. We're happy to dive into any projects. The link that I just shared there is a fun little widget. You can turn on the sound and it plays the trades, the kind of large trades that are happening on the markets. In the background, it plays a sound alongside them, so you can roughly get a feel for what the market's up to with this little widget. In terms of content today, there's a few dashboards that we are looking to go into and a few projects. I think we'll probably cover, if we do end up going through specifically this list that our analysts put together, we might cover Unicly, Uniswap v3, Convex Finance, and some the AS rotation, which is Aave, Sushi, Synthetics.
Wi-Fi, ASI.
Well, yeah, also we could look at that.
As well. Yeah.
So without further ado, Alex, you want to share your screen and we can dive in?
Let's do it. Share screen. Just give me 1 sec here. Gotta close my Telegram. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Now I can.
Now you can?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. 2000. We're going to have that up here just like...
just to add some stress to the
to make it a little bit more stressful. Yeah, it looks like it might go below 2000 again, but okay, you know.
Wow. On FTX, it's like 1920 right now. Yeah,
this is Coinbase. And actually, I was thinking we could show people this DEX Trades tab because it's kind of interesting when you have these like massive movements in the market. Because this is showing basically DEX Trades that are going through on Ethereum in real time. So you can actually, if you want, you can sort them and you can see, hey, there's like a $4.4 million USDC trade on Sushi. These are the largest ones. So when basically anything else pops up that is, a large trade, it's going to jump into this list. But you can also just sort it by time here. And then you see like the latest ones. And this will basically update in real time, like boom, like there. And you see here like 111,000 Sushi, $1.5 million USDC. Damn, look at this. It's going down to like the 20th century again. This is like Second World War almost. 1940s, 1930s now. That's pretty brutal. This is really one of the worst days I've seen, actually, in terms of at least in terms of absolute price fall. Right, we went from like what 3,300 yesterday or something like that to like now 1,800. I mean, this is like mass liquidations, and it doesn't seem to stabilize. But yeah,
do we still have that Flash Boys dashboard that we could potentially?
Yeah, we do. It won't show anything real time though, so I don't think it's going to be super insightful. But yeah, I mean, you could see like, again, some of the largest transactions going through here. There's a smart LP doing something with Faye. But this is like, I mean, these are like macro movements, right? It's very different from the stuff that we normally look at. Like normally we look at very micro things, right? Like markets moving sideways and you see someone investing in some esoteric token and you can get like in before everyone else. This is just, something completely different. Largely driven by liquidations, right, which creates this cascading effect downwards.
Sorry, I'm just getting some messages rolling in. He's like, "Okay, guys, WTF? I'm moving back in with my parents."
Yeah, I mean, yeah. On the one hand, it's like we can joke about it, right? Like, but I really hope that people are okay because it is a pretty brutal move. So hopefully everyone's safe out there. But yeah, let's get back to the content here. We have a bit of stuff that the guys put together, our analysts. So Unicly, which is a protocol that fractionalizes NFTs so that they can be freely traded as ERC20 tokens. And I think this one, let's have a look at what this wallet profiler is going to show us. I would imagine it is either one of the pools or the overall project for Unicly. Let's see when this loads. Okay, so this is the Uniswap pool for Eugenie, and that's kind of funny. Nice typo there. Unique swap. Eugenie and Wrapped Ether.
It might be uniquely swapping.
Oh, seriously? Is that actually? Oh, that's funny. That's a nice little pun. Uniswap. Is it actually Uniswap? That's hilarious. So this is showing. Let's look at two things here. So it's quite. Yeah, it actually is. I highly recommend people to use this related wallets table down here. It's I've started using it myself a lot. So when I look at the wallet profiler for anything, especially if it's a smart contract, which is indicated by this robot sign, I will go down and I can see who deployed this pool or this contract. And then sometimes there's a created by row as well, which is when there's kind of an intermediary factory contract. For example, with Uniswap pools, you have factory contracts that create the liquidity pools. So here it looks like there's a unique swap factory that created this pool. And then this is kind of the normal account, the externally owned account that deployed the pool. You can also look at the counterparties. So I guess maybe this will show who actually deposited tokens into it. But yeah, let's have a look at this. If there's Ether or wrapped Ether going into this, I guess we'll find out.
So I think just zooming out on this topic, so Unicly creates kind of liquidity for NFTs, as far as I understand. And I think it's an interesting trend, which is how to remonetize NFTs. Right now in the market, there's been these collections of NFTs like CryptoPunks, the other Larva Labs projects like Autoglyphs or MeBits. There's projects like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, just these large collections where they have rare traits and they're being traded like this kind of bizarre, unique asset class where there's connoisseurs who understand that certain rarities and things like that have more value. And it's just a market. It's a new market for a new asset class that has emerged. And so it's really interesting to see these protocols like Unicly come out and try and remonetize them in different ways. It's kind of cool. And I think over the long term, it does add more support to NFTs as an asset class beyond just collecting them for the sake of art. It just makes it more valuable.
Yeah, agree. These are probably these U tokens, right? So there was U Jenny, which I think was, I think the guys were saying that this is basically like a metaverse DAO. And so, yeah, this is the most popular pool, which you can see in this overview, Jenny Metaverse DAO token.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a market cap. So that token has a market cap of almost 20 mil and liquidity of $7.7 million. There's also like CryptoPunks, Hashmasks, Avegotchi, Mystic Axes. Yeah, there's a lot of these different cool NFT projects being, I guess they're effectively in indices, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to think about it.
And so I would say like another project that does something similar is NFTX. And I think also UMA was also doing that, or maybe this is kind of related to that. Or is it pronounced UMA? Anyways, these are all just different ways of monetizing NFTs.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have an actionable advice yet on how to get involved with it. I haven't really figured out like if one should ape into one of these like UPunk tokens if one wants to take a position on punks.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Like if you just wanted to have a quick way to invest in any of these NFT projects without doing all the research on the individual, NFTs, then this is like one way to get exposure. You just ape into one of these indices, right? And I guess there's a farming opportunity too, which you can see farms here, for example. Okay, you have to connect your wallet, so maybe we don't look at that. But effectively, I think you can farm these governance tokens by locking up some of these index tokens. Okay. Then Uniswap V3 projects. So there was Visor Finance, which we also, I think, let's see. We go to, what is it, Visor, like this? Yeah. No, it's Visor, like this. All right, let's load that up in the background to see what's happening on it. Liquidity management on Uniswap V3. So I think maybe the context here is that the transition from V2 to V3, basically in V2, there was a lot of passive, you could passively be a liquidity provider, right? You just pool, two different tokens together, and then you let the Uniswap pool take care of it. In V3, you set specific ranges. And so that means you have to more actively manage your positions. And I think Visor Finance is kind of like almost like middleware on top of the Uniswap V3 protocol, so that you can again have more passive ways to provide liquidity without having to manage all these positions. That's my understanding at a very high level. So they have like managed pools, right? And we can have a look at the token here. VISR. Looks like there's a fair bit of liquidity on Uniswap, but it's been going down. I'm not sure if that's because people are accumulating, but we can have a look at the balance changes. So there's a bunch of Visor addresses. Maybe these are smart contracts for the project. There's a bunch of multi-sigs here. You can also save proxies. When you see that, that's basically multi-sigs. So presumably these are multi-sigs for the project.
Why would a project have a bunch of multi-sigs like that? Like, why would they separate out those multi-sigs?
They might have different purposes. One might be for the team, another one might be for like the ecosystem. Yeah. We could have a look at them. So if you look at the profiler, for example, you can see how they were funded and where they have sent funds to. So now I just plugged in the top one and I clicked on profiler over here. By the way, while this is loading, it looks like the liquidations are somewhat under control on the Ether price, at least.
Yeah, I've been trying to scalp ETH. You've been talking.
That's why you're so quiet.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very funny. We should say, like, right before the stream, we were looking at the price, and it was like, oh, it's going down towards 2,000, and it was like, should we buy 2,000? Should we buy 2,000? You don't do it, then it jumps to 2,300, and you're like, oh man, should have bought at 2,000. Then it goes back down again, and we don't buy again, right? It's like, it's ridiculous how the human psychology works.
Yeah.
This is not a trading stream.
Yeah, there's nothing here is financial advice. Don't take my degenerate trading as a recommendation for you to do the same. Stay calm, level-headed, smash buy when you feel like it. Not when I say.
So, okay. So back to the Visor, right? These are not very informative labels. If someone in our team is watching, we should label these because it's probably possible to find out what kind of multi-sigs they are. But if you look at the first one and you just look at the profiler, it's a good example of, even if you don't have super informative labels, you can still figure out a little bit about what it's about. So here, this received 70 million tokens from a Gnosis Safe creator. And I would imagine it's the same creator, like it's the creator of the other multi-sigs, I would imagine. In fact, we can click on it and let that load in the background, and we can figure out if that's indeed the one that deployed these other Gnosis Safe contracts. But it received 70 mil from that. And then this one, in turn, sent tokens to the other multi-sigs, presumably. So you can see down to the left 0x2FB, 0xC53, 0xBB, 0x79, and then if you just kind of go back and compare that, maybe using the links over here, it's basically the same contracts. So the creator sends the tokens to the top one, and the top one basically distributes to the other ones, cascading down. 25 mil, 10 mil, 10 mil, 5 mil, 250. Okay. By the way, here's the creator.
So each of those Gnosis safe proxies, like when it's a multi-sig, they could have like multiple sub addresses that are controlling that address, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean the multi-sig signers.
And are we able to extract that? Like, could we have in a wallet profiler, when we see that it's a Gnosis safe proxy, list out like the constituent addresses or the signers?
Yeah, let's have a look. So this is now we're at the wallet profiler for token, right? We're zooming in on the Visor token, but we maybe want to look at the normal wallet profiler, and you can reach that by just clicking this one. Click the label. That's why it has this little link here. And when this one loads, again, we can make use of the related wallets table. And let's see what information we have in the related wallets table. I'm not sure it has the signers, but it will at least have who deployed this Gnosis safe. I think we'll figure it out. Yeah, so it was deployed by the Gnosis safe creator, and it was created by the proxy factory. Okay, and the deployed by, that's the 0xB2D. Let's see. Oh, it's actually a different one. There's a different Gnosis safe creator. Interesting. But your question about, can you figure out the signers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. I mean, we should have it here, and
wouldn't it be counterparty, kind of like it would be? So a counterparty who interacts with the contract but doesn't send any value to it, or like the contract interactions table on the Smart Money dashboard. We could have something like that for
personally. Personally, I think it should be in the related wallets because it's like clearly a direct relation to it. But you can actually now look at the counterparties and see which addresses had transactions that they made with this one. And you can see it down here. If you just do like transactions in Ether, okay, probably these are interactions with this one. But you'd have to dig down deeper and see it. But I think it would be more convenient if we just had it here, right? Like deployed by this Gnosis safe creator, and then here are all the signers of the multisig. We've done that before on the back end, so like we can definitely do that.
So how is one supposed to use this practically? What we're diving into?
So this is, now we're just trying to figure out like what these contracts are, and if you want to build up and sort of, even before we've labeled it, if you want to build up kind of a mental model of like what these different contracts are, you can say, hey, okay, now I know where this one received its tokens. This is how it's distributing it. So this was where we were, right? And then we can move forward and see, hey, these different ones actually deploy. Sorry, let me jump ahead a bit here. These are like providing. This one seems to have received 100 mil originally, and that one sent the 70 mil to the Gnosis safe proxy, and then it sent 30,000 to the pool creator. Maybe the pool creator is the one who created the Uniswap pool or something like that for this token. So this is, I would say, like this is this kind of stuff, investigations that we do to figure out what these wallets are. I mean, if you want to do that as well, it can sometimes front run our team even with the labeling, but that's kind of how this is useful. It's for investigative purposes and trying to understand what the different wallets do.
Mm-hmm.
But so that's the Visor token. So what are you seeing here? Well, you see some smart LPs interacting with it. You see them sending Visor tokens into the wrapped Ether Visor Uniswap pool. What else do we see? Well, we see a lot of these contracts. I don't know. Personally, I think this is like not the best example because it's like tons of addresses that we're clearly not labeled very clearly yet. There's a lot of like Visor related contracts, but I think we need to build some heuristics to actually tag up these pools. All right. So that's Visor. Then there's Convex Finance, which showed up in the hot contracts.
Oh, I think Convex is a good one to dive into because yesterday when we were chatting about it, there was some pretty useful things to dive into, and we saw a lot of like interesting team wallets and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the way we looked at it yesterday was looking at Curve, right?
Yeah. So Convex. Do you want to just give some background on it, or do you have?
Yeah, I mean, so I think when we were looking at it in our alpha call, we were looking at it from hot contracts. That was like the entry point. We saw Convex Finance pop up here because it had a lot of inflow of capital to it, and also some smart money interacting with it. And you can see that here, right? There's actually two Convex contracts here, and so we started looking at this. So there's the CVX CRV and then CRV token. So we said, hey, why don't we try to look at token god mode for Curve CRV, because we saw there were pools related to it. And we spotted some interesting movements. Like basically, there were a lot of tokens, Curve tokens, flowing into this here, right? The CVX CRV and CRV SLP, so like the sushi swap LP token. And I think if we went down here, and wait, let me just check. Sorry, one sec. This was 2.429 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we just want to find who deposited tokens into that liquidity pool. And so here it is, right? Convex Finance, CVX CRV, CRV SLP, and now I want to go to, and it's only recently received these tokens 2 days ago. So I'm going to look at the depositors, like who deposited their CRV tokens into that pool. And yeah, you see, I mean, this is going to refresh, but you can see right away that there's some interesting smart money addresses here, right? There's like the Curve, one of the Curve founders have like 500,000 Curve tokens in here. The third employee or one of the employees in Curve, Geo.eth, who is labeled as a smart money wallet. Same with this smart LP and Milli DEX Trader. So there's clearly something interesting going on here. And you know, if you come across this, you'd be like, why are these people depositing the tokens? I would probably want to figure out, you know, what's going on. And so I think we went to convexfinance.com and we started looking at the platform, right? And you can, it's like earn CRV with a better boost, put your CRV to work, stake CVX, and earn more.
I think most interestingly for the average person is if you've ever interacted with vCurve, you are eligible for an airdrop when you click claim.
That's right. I don't have the wallet connected, but yeah.
Yeah, it would.
You would see it up here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then in terms of like how people we saw most often using this was locking up CRV into this platform. So you get CVX CRV, and then staking CVX CRV alongside CRV, which would be like a highly correlated pool. So minimal impermanent loss risk, and you just kind of scoop the trading fees in it, as well as generate the yield from that pool. Well, I guess you just get the yield from the pool, but
yeah, exactly. So I think people like, or there's some long-term Curve holders who probably like this, and they are the ones participating here. It seems putting their Curve to work, like the website was saying.
Mm-hmm. All right.
By the way,
midway
look at this
in here. Yeah.
Look at this. Boom. There's something wrong here. I'm gonna refresh it. Something wrong with the chart. What's your favorite website to check real-time prices like this? Like, where do you go when you see markets going crazy?
I usually just check on FTX because that's where I trade. But yeah, I think this is a pretty solid one. Trading View sometimes. Wow, look at this.
Look at that.
That 1 day wick is absurd.
That is insane. That is insane. It's like 1870. 3,000. It's like, that's insane. That is pretty crazy. Yeah. Someone's testing liquidity. What do you think? Did the test pass or fail?
I don't know, dude. I'm part of the plunge protection team here. still laddering in here.
Scooping up.
Scooping as we go. This is either going to be like a great trade, or everyone's going to see me get liquidated on screen and like in whenever we dump back down sub 2,000. Yeah,
man, like buying at 2,000 would have been a pretty sweet move so far. At least we've been up like 30%.
Sure.
All right, I think I'm gonna close this because it's freaking distracting.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna close as well. All right, no more price talk.
All right,
maybe
just get liquidated without knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, there was one thing that I was thinking about showing, but we were talking about if it is a conflict of interest because I did ape into it. What do you think?
All right. I think as long as we give mega disclaimers that you aped into it ahead of time based on on-chain movements.
Yeah. I think it was maybe an interesting case study because I actually learned something from it. And that's what I was thinking we could have a quick look at. So let me just clean up a bit here. Here we go. This one, MUSE. So what happened here? So I was looking at token god mode for this token. And a few interesting things happened. First of all, I spotted this one, Sablier real-time finance. Okay, that's the top accumulator of tokens. 25,000 tokens in the last 7 days, but actually just received it today, like this morning in UTC time. So not that long ago, actually, a few hours ago. And then when I scrolled down, I saw a few things. So first of all, it's actually the Sablier contract is now like the second largest holder of MUSE tokens. And by the way, like I'm not going to talk about what this project is because I think it's kind of irrelevant for like the analysis. So we see this one and it's like days since first received 0. Okay, interesting. I would have thought maybe there's some kind of like seed round, distribution, because Sablier is like a streaming contract that allows you to basically set up a token stream over a fixed amount of time, and then you can basically let another address like claim a stream of tokens. So let's say I wanted to send you like 1 million tokens over the course of a year with like linear vesting, then I could use a Sablier contract to do that. And so it is often used to distribute vested tokens in investment rounds or even in OTC deals. So in this case, I wanted to find out like what's going on, like, who is involved in the Sablier thing. And so first I looked at the profiler and I wanted to figure out just like who was kind of feeding this contract. And there was this, I think this is gonna refresh now when it's updating. Basically, I saw 2 transactions going into this wallet. Basically this NFT 20.eth contract, which I later found out was the deployer of Very Nifty, like the company behind or the project behind the MUSE project. But here we go. Now it updated. Very Nifty deployer. Now, I can actually look at the transaction. So you see there are 2 transactions here, right? So let's have a look at one of them. We go to Etherscan, and you will see, okay, there's the 12,445 tokens going in here into the real-time, the Sablier real-time finance contract, but it doesn't show like who's going to receive these tokens. And that's when you can go into logs, and you see there's a standard transfer event. They always show up for ERC20s. There's an approval event which approved the usage of this token for that contract. And then here is the interesting stuff. Create stream. And so if you just read, it's not actually that hard to read, even if you're not technical, but it has like a few different arguments. It's like a stream ID and the sender, recipient, deposit, token address, start time, stop time. And so here I'm interested in like, who's the recipient? And you see that's like the 1, 2, 3. That's the third topic. So 1, 2, 3. This guy here is the recipient. So let me copy this address and look them up in our wallet profiler, because I'm curious who is receiving these tokens. And it's going to take a little while. Okay, someone who has been active since 2020 with this address. Boom, DeFi maximalist.eth. Smart money. This is pretty interesting. $75 million in staked Aave. $7 million in Wi-Fi locked up in Aave. $4.5 million SNX. That's pretty cool. So let's look at the other transaction. There were 2 transactions, right? So I'm going to click this one. And we do the same thing. We look at the logs, and we go down, and we see create stream. And here, the third argument, right, the recipient, we just do the same thing. We copy it, look it up in a wallet profiler. Ooh. So we're going to look this up. Boom, DeFi whale.eth. This one's been active even longer, like since 2018. And it has also a lot of Aave, a lot of Wi-Fi. It has Lido or Lido tokens, LDO tokens. Looks like they moved some of their staked Aave. Okay, interesting. Some USDC. And yeah, so what is the conclusion? So I mean, going back to token god mode, you see there's an OTC, or there's a streaming contract or streaming agreement being set up, which is effectively like a vesting agreement with 2 smart money wallets, which seems to indicate that there was some kind of OTC deal made or an investment made into this project, and they're going to get the tokens over time. In fact, if you wanted to go really technical, you could also look at the start time and the stop time. So you could probably convert these times. I guess they're like convert Unix time to date time or something like that. We plug this in here, November 19th. So that's like 6 months, right? So it's a 6 month, yeah, it says here relative in 6 months. That's a 6 month vesting schedule on that one. I guess it might be similar on the other one. So basically there's a, sorry?
Does it show how often you can withdraw?
Well, that's the cool thing with Sablier. It's like continuous. So every block you can claim. So basically, this is like a way for them to say, hey, we want to buy our token, but we are happy to have vesting because we're not going to just turn around and dump it. So, we are long-term investors. We're happy to do a vesting agreement. And so you guys provide us with a token in a linear vesting for the next 6 months. And then they probably and then they probably bought these tokens from the project, right, from the treasury. So like it's pretty interesting because it made me think like, hey, these streams are quite interesting, right? Like you can maybe pull out some information from them. So this is something I was working on today, so we don't have it like built into the platform yet, so I kind of just mocked it up in a spreadsheet. I pulled out like every single create stream event that has ever been made with this contract, and I just pulled out, what's the label that we have on the recipient. And this was actually pretty cool because it allowed me to, first of all, I could spot like a lot of smart money addresses just by eyeballing this, like smart LPs receiving tokens. Alameda is in here, right? Like lots of different recipients in these streams from Sablier. And so I just created a few pivot tables, which we can make dashboards for later, but this is kind of like a proof of concept. So let's say you wanted to look at MPL, like Maple Finance, right? I can just say, hey, pick out the Maple Finance contract token address, and then just aggregate on the name to keep it simple. And you see like Framework Ventures, Alameda, right? And I was basically thinking, okay, Maple Finance, Framework, Alameda. What can I see here? Seed round, Maple Finance, Crunchbase. Okay, Framework Ventures, Alameda, etc. And then probably that corresponds pretty well with the distribution that you see here. So this is like one way we can actually figure out like what are the different, what are the associations between different funds and their wallets. So yeah, all this to say, like it's these streams are actually quite, they can be quite, you can find some alpha leaks in them, and they're not like obvious to the naked eye in the dashboards because you don't actually see the token transactions yet, but they are there kind of hidden inside of the smart contract.
What okay, so is the takeaway like this is going to be baked into the platform at some time? What should people be who are watching this?
Yeah, I would say two things. What you can do right now is whenever you see a Sablier contract like this, you can actually go into it and you can look at the depositors, and from the depositors, or the wallet profile for that matter, you can do either. Actually, it's better to do wallet profiler now that I think about it. You can actually find the individual transactions, and you just pick the largest ones, and you can do this thing that I just showed you, where you can drill down and figure out who is the recipient for it. So it's a little bit clunky to do it now, but you can actually figure it out. If you see there's like a new Sablier contract, this is the way you would find out like who is actually going to receive those tokens at the end of the day. The second part is, yes, we are going to build it into the product somehow. It's not totally clear exactly how we will do it, if we have a dedicated dashboard for it, or if we try to just extract these vesting agreements and somehow like bake them into the user interface as it is. That could be another way. But yeah, we are going to integrate it somehow into the product.
Awesome. All right. If anyone in the chat has any questions on projects to cover, we're happy to dive into them. Whether it's a new project that has come across your plate, or a project that you are now thinking of getting into at a potentially better entry price, and you want to see maybe some shifts in ownership structures based on people dumping. I'd actually be curious to see on some of these like DeFi blue chips if the top balances has significantly changed.
Yeah, agree.
Are you swapping out your camera here?
I am. Let's see if it works.
Drum roll. Hey, welcome
Boom. Back. High res.
It's like a different person. We just swapped out Alex's high res twin.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very tempted to see how the markets are going, if they're tanking again.
Yeah, as you mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, 2-4. Okay. Oh, 2-3. Well, okay. Yeah. It's a rough day.
Yes.
Any questions in the feed, in the chat?
How do you use the alpha info? What's your strategy for hot contract addresses? From Warfield from the alpha tier. Welcome, Warfield.
Yeah, what's our strategy with the hot contracts, right? That was the question.
Mm-hmm.
Two different things. So I think of it as the way you can discover, like it's a way to get stuff on your radar that you normally wouldn't discover. And so I would basically check this, a couple of times a day to just see what's actually happening. Like, where's the money flowing? And
would you mind pulling it up on the screen?
Yeah. Can you see?
Mm-hmm.
So this can help you, understand, like, there's money flowing into specific contracts. And, like, for example, this thing we were looking at earlier, the Unicly UGeni unique swap liquidity pool, like, I'd never heard of that. And this would be probably the first place I would know about its existence. So it's primarily useful as a discovery mechanism. It's like kind of opening the newspaper and just seeing, hey, what's on the menu today? And then from there, there's a couple of different things that will show up in this view. One is you will see farming opportunities. And so typically, they would be smart contracts that people put capital into in order to get yields. So, for example, to farm like a governance token. That could be one example of what you would see here. Another example could be NFT projects. And so I learned about hash masks and also Bored Ape Yacht Club through hot contracts, and I could see money flowing into those token sales, or those Genesis sales in real time with hot contracts. So NFT sales is another example. You also see just other forms of token sales as well, like Hedgic, for example. When they had a token sale, you would see Ether flowing into that contract.
And there were a few related ones, right? Like White Heart. We also saw a bunch of.
Yeah, sorry, White Hat. Yeah, that's one I had.
Yeah. And then you can pull up the wallet profiler and see who is sending ETH to it specifically.
Exactly.
I think I saw VFriends on here recently. You can see who's aping ETH into the VFriends contract.
Yes, exactly. So that's the next. So the first part is like discovering these opportunities, and then the next step is to like dive into them. And so depending on what kind of address it is, you might want to use different dashboards to explore them. Maybe we could just pick this one. So now I just picked like a Uniswap V3 pool for Wrap Bitcoin and Comp. It's not necessarily going to be like a super high alpha thing to look at because it's like a liquidity pool. But let's see here. What you will see. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we can check this out, but in general, and I think I'm just thinking out loud here, we should probably clarify this in our documentation somewhere. Probably the best way to analyze liquidity pools is on the top depositors dashboard.
That's right. And actually, this is a V3 pool. And so it's kind of even more tricky because it's an NFT and you won't see like lots of different addresses because this is kind of one person or one address's position. It's this smart LP that created this. Actually, it's an NFT, right? They created this Uniswap V3 pool. So actually, it's probably a bad example. Maybe we can zoom out on the time horizon and find something more interesting. So you can actually change how old the contracts should be that you find here. So we were looking at 7-day contracts that were deployed within the last 7 days. But you can say, hey, I want to look at contracts that have been deployed in the last 14 days or like 30 days, for example. Like you want to have an even broader time horizon. And maybe we'll find something that's like a better example here. So let's see, there's inflows. Let's see if we do smart money depositors. Convex Finance airdrop. Could look at that.
We could, but he also followed up in the chat here and asked, but what's your preferred betting strategy when you see a newly created contract with a lot of smart money inside? And how do you position yourself for exiting to manage risk?
Right.
And I think
so
that's a big question, and disclaimer, not financial advice, anything Alex is about to say.
Yeah. So the thing is, you go from basically what I was trying to get to is like you go from discovery to just knowing that it exists to due diligence, right? To figuring out what should I do with the smart contract. And if it's a yield farm, meaning if people are putting money into this smart contract in order to generate yields, you want to figure out, are the other addresses that are putting money into this, do they know what they're doing? And one proxy for that is to see if they're smart money addresses. So this is our own sort of classification of addresses where we say if an address has performed well in the past with trading, yield farming, etc. And what I would look for is like, how many smart money wallets do I see here? And I think we saw a good example of this earlier in the stream with Convex Finance, because you saw tons of money from smart money addresses like in the Convex Finance pool. And so to me, that's like a good sign. There's like, let's see here. I mean, this is actually just sorted by like number of transactions. So we would probably want to use a different dashboard for this, and I'll show you afterwards which one. But clicking through this, you see like, okay, there's 3 smart money addresses here. There's like another one there. And you can just click through this. Oh, okay. The first Wi-Fi farmer has been depositing tokens to this. But actually, I would want to look at, what are they putting in here? It's like the CVX token, right? So I would move to the wallet profiler for token dashboard. It's over here, because that's going to give me a specific view on the CVX token. So if I just go CVX here, I paste in, was it that one? Yeah, it's this one. Then that's going to show me like wallet profiler for this specific token. And that's going to make it easier for me to see, who was interacting with this. Oh shit, I pasted the airdrop, of course. We wanted to see the other one, right? Where is it? Well, let's look at the airdrop just as an example. You would basically see who else has interacted with a smart contract. And then if there's a lot of smart money addresses, then I would say the risk is probably lower than if you saw just a bunch of random addresses that were aping into this. Because it's kind of like, if you use an analogy from venture capital, right? Like if a big VC firm has invested in a company, typically other people will follow on because they assume the big, well-known, reputable VC has done their due diligence. So you're kind of making the same reasoning here. You're seeing, hey, what are these guys? Who are these guys? And is it likely that they have done some form of due diligence before aping into this? I mean, in many cases, it could be they haven't, right? But at least it's a sign that they're willing to put some skin in the game on this specific contract.
For this one, isn't there potentially a false positive in the sense that this is everyone who got airdropped, right? Like
this is airdrops, yeah.
And so if they are then aping into the other contract, it's kind of like they're playing with house money, kind of like with Badger when they did their airdrop. That
could be?
So is that not kind of a risky heuristic in this case?
Well, I would say it's super, super valuable, because if you get the airdrop, you'd want to know what people are doing with their airdrops, right? Like that's a very common scenario. Like, do you just dump it, or do you stake it, or do you hold it? And knowing what these guys are doing with their tokens is actually very valuable information, in my opinion.
Right.
If they had no faith in it, they would probably just dump it. But if they see, hey, this is a worthwhile project to keep holding on to, then they would either hold the token or like stake it, depending on what opportunities exist.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to show the other one though. This is I guess Master Chef. Might be more interesting, because I think this is going to show what they actually, like, some of the people putting their tokens into a staking contract.
While that loads, so the other half of the question was, how do you position yourself for exiting to manage risk? I think a decent way to position yourself, or to kind of use our dashboards or our tools, is smart alerts, as you're circling there. And we have so kind of like the 3 pillars of how you can use Nansen. One is discovery, which we use hot contracts for. 2 is due diligence, and we use like dashboards like this, wallet profiler for token, or token god mode, or just standard wallet profiler. And then the third one is smart alerts for defense. And defense is kind of like monitoring the positions you have, the pools that you are currently involved with, and the tokens that you're holding, and either tracking large whale wallets. So for example, this first YFI farmer, turning on a smart alert for them and making sure you are aware when they're dumping or when they're moving their funds around, or just tracking the token as a whole and setting a minimum USD threshold such that when you see a large movement on chain, you'll get alerted. And I think a good way of figuring out a kind of minimum value for these alerts is if you go to CoinGecko and you check the +2 -2% spread on a token. So here, if we pull up Convex Finance, let's see what it is. I'm sure it's pretty low right now given the market, but and if you scroll down, no.
Is it markets or
no? Keep scrolling.
Oh, my bad. This one, right?
Yeah. So the depth at around 2% is around 36K. Basically, like if you were to set your minimum USD threshold to around 50K, for example, you would know with pretty high certainty that if someone, well, not with certainty, but you would just know if someone's moving 50K, it has the potential to move the markets in a fairly significant way. And so you would want to know that. And if you see large dumps of that and like, you know, in sequence, multiple large dumps, maybe you should be careful and consider exiting your position.
So I would basically take Convex Finance. I'd take this number and say, I'm going to use this to set a smart alert. And I'm going to say, I want like large Convex Finance trades. And I'm going to filter on Convex token. And I'm going to say 50,000, right, as the minimum USD value. And then I'm going to choose whatever, like Discord, Telegram, or Slack that I want to get notified with. Punch in my ID here. And then I'm going to get notifications whenever someone makes a $50,000 Convex transfer on the blockchain in real time. So if they're, for example, withdrawing more than $50,000 from like either the airdrop contract or the yield farming contract, then I will actually see that right away, even before they're potentially dumping it on a DEX or sending it to an exchange.
That's true. It'd be kind of interesting, and it would be a bit more complex, but it could be helpful at some point. Any large wallet that has, let's say, a large amount of Convex tokens, getting a notification when they do a contract approval for Convex. That way, let's say they're holding whatever 1% of the supply, and they approve Uniswap for the Convex ETH pool, and they're like potentially about to dump Convex.
Yes.
Or just trade it. Like that would be a quick way of maybe not front running, but like knowing that it's about to happen.
Yeah, you can actually. You should give that as input to the team, because it would be not too hard to do that. To add it here as an event type approval. You could.
Yeah. That's actually you could do smart money approvals for a certain contract.
Exactly, smart money approval. Oh, we don't have it, but approve, because just like the transfer, that's just another event, right? So you can see it here in the example, right? Transfer. That's the event that we use to monitor when there are transfers taking place from a token. And then approval is the event where you approve. So it shouldn't be too hard to actually just pull that out as well.
Cool. Any follow-up questions on that, Warfield? Feel free to mention in the chat if you have any follow-up questions. And then before we start wrapping up, we have a request to quickly dive into Perp.
Okay. Chilling Perp.
Mr. James Woods. Isn't that the character from Family Guy?
Yeah, but that character is based on a real James Woods.
Well, maybe that's him. Maybe he's getting into crypto.
Yeah.
Welcome to crypto, sir. So,
It's an honor.
yeah. From a high level, maybe you can just point out how you use token God mode here before we fully dive in.
Yeah. So I don't know much about Perp, and so the first place I would go to learn about this token, I actually like to look at the on-chain picture before learning about what the token actually does, because you have sort of a standard kind of set of a standard methodology that you can look at in terms of metrics and so on. So you get an idea of the liquidity situation. For example, which exchanges is it listed on? Is it a large variety of exchanges? Is it basically just Uniswap? How much of the tokens are sitting on exchanges, which gives an idea of how the price is going to move. If just a very, very small part of the token is on exchanges, that means there could be like bigger price swings up or down because there's not a lot of float. And so the supply demand imbalance could get out of whack. And so here I see Binance, FTX, Balancer, Uniswap, SushiSwap, OKX. There's like pretty large variety in the liquidity situation. I also see it's not like on Coinbase, for example, or like, Binance is the biggest exchange in the world, but there could be some upside if it got listed on Coinbase. Then I would go down and see, what are people doing with these Perp tokens? Like, where are they sending them, and who is potentially accumulating them? And I would look at balance changes the last 7 days. I would sort by the change to see which addresses have the biggest inflow of Perp tokens. And it looks like staked perpetual is the largest the biggest destination for Perp tokens. Some of them are also being sent to FTX. And then you see a few like interesting names like this ENS address with emojis. You see sci-fi token.
Can we figure out what that name is? It's kind of like one of those bumper stumpers, like when you see a bumper. Or like a license plate on the on the highway, and you need to figure out what it means.
Yeah, it looks like kind of a yacht thing though, but yeah.
Cool. Question mark moon race car.
This was pretty cool. The Yang Express ENZF token. That actually means that this is an enzyme finance fund, so called the Yang Express, and they have been accumulating Perp tokens. Interesting, since 2 days ago, and in fact, our friend here as well started accumulating it. This sci-fi token, I have no idea what that is. I would be curious to find out. Maybe there's some kind of yield farming thing going on. Definitely something. There's some interesting stuff here. One rule of thumb as well is like to look at days since first received, and if you see, new addresses coming on board, that can be quite interesting because it indicates like they just got into this token, right? They just received them for the first time. Like the Yang Express just received their first Perp tokens 2 days ago. Why is that? What do they do? Again, maybe there's some thesis behind it. You can also flip it around and see, where's the tokens flowing out from. And here it actually looks like a lot of exchanges have outflows, which is kind of generally speaking a bullish trend because it means there's less tokens for people to buy on the exchanges, right? People are like accumulating them. And so from Uniswap, from Binance, from SushiSwap, from OKX, actually across the board, seems like there's accumulation taking place. And that's also why these trends are kind of going down a bit. And it's like red, right? It's only FTX where you have inflow.
Yeah, well, I would say that because the data is recent, although I guess we didn't really see a big negative spike today. But I was just going to say, usually when the markets dump, there is some people who withdraw from the exchanges to kind of avoid impermanent loss.
Yeah. It actually looks like it's been going up in the last few days against Ether, at least.
One thing that could be useful in the balance changes table would be when you sort by inflow. Sorry, yeah, if you flip that around. Yeah. It would be interesting to have some context, some additional context beyond the label on who is accumulating. A stat that could be valuable here is like net wallet balance. So you see like this elite DEX trader, if they have like, $2 million in their wallet, that's slightly higher signal than a wallet that has maybe like 20K in their wallet. Like if you see like a whale accumulating a token, it's kind of got a different signal slightly than someone like a smaller wallet accumulating.
is that just this though? Like the balance on the side here, or?
No, I mean like net wallet balance, like beyond just this token.
I see what you mean. Yeah, got it. Across all their assets, basically. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that. Good idea. I mean, the balance sometimes can give you an indication, but yeah, you're right. You're right. It would be interesting to see that. That should be not too hard to add. Yeah. Remember to post it in the user input channel.
Let's just hope that the team watches this. Like, for example, like this Enzyme Finance, Yang Express, like this could be a tiny little fund, or it could be, a $10 million fund.
Yeah. I mean, so what we could do, like, we don't have that right now, but you could actually just find them here and be like, hey, let's check out the Yang Express, right? You can look at, you could look at the profiler for this, but actually maybe we can look at their general wallet profiler. Like, what are they?
I think I saw a second Enzyme Finance fund called Nomad Capital as you're poking through there. If you go back.
Let's see, maybe one more.
Where did I see Nomad Capital?
Maybe you saw it up here. Yang Express. I kind of also feel like I saw that now that you say it. Let's click through again.
Oh, and there's a Sablier.
There we go. This one, Nomad Capital. Yeah, let's bring that one up as well. And then let's open the wallet profiler for it. So here's the Yang Express. So here's the portfolio of Yang Express. Sushi, Aave, Alpha, Wi-Fi, Melon, Perp, USDC. Been active since March. The Yang Express deployer, which is a smart money address. Could look at that too, like who actually deployed the Yang Express. Anyway, you can keep going down all these rabbit holes. But this is, now I just learned a bit about like the on-chain perspective of the Perp token without knowing what the hell the Perp token actually does. So it seems like there are some of these Enzyme funds accumulating it. Looks, generally speaking, like it's being accumulated off the exchanges, which is kind of bullish. And then there were some interesting token addresses that I would look at, like Staked Perpetual and this Sci-Fi. Like, I have no idea what that is, but I'd probably want to figure out what that is and why people are sending their Perp tokens into it. This one here, I mean, I might just click through on it to bring it up there. Here's Nomad Capital, by the way. Oh, it's still loading. I think maybe it's... Nomad Capital is accumulating Perp tokens on Paraswap. Interesting. All right. Maybe it's time to wrap it up.
Let's do it. Any parting words?
I mean, let's see how the market, hopefully the market recovers. Hopefully this was a healthy correction on the ETH price. And I really hope that those of you watching did not get liquidated. Yeah, the future is bright. If you have a long enough time horizon, the future is bright. We're going to have another lockdown here in Singapore, which means everyone's going to have to keep trading shitcoins. So hopefully that'll be good for the market.
DeFi summer. Yeah, this is kind of the refresh before DeFi summer 2.0, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us, as always. Stay safe out there. Don't trade with excessive leverage unless you are a true professional in DGen. We'll be on Twitter. We'll be on Discord if you ever want to chat. And yeah, as always, thank you for joining. Catch you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.